I have seen that you come from a very cold country. Did you miss your warm weather here?
Well, it's not very that cold. Actually, it was very mild this morning. It was, I think, 3 degrees or so in Bern in Switzerland. And yes, I enjoy some warmer temperatures in the fall before finally we'll have the winter. So I'm looking forward to the winter, yes.
Okay. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Thomas Juli. I live in Bern, Switzerland, and I'm originally from Germany.
Where did you study and which university did you graduate from?
I studied at 3 universities at the University of Tübingen in Germany. Then I got my first degree in economics from Washington University in St. Louis. And I got a PhD from the University of Miami in Florida.
Okay. Why did you decide to become an advisor at Homeless Entrepreneur, and what impact do you aim to achieve thanks to this collaboration?
Well, first of all, I have known Andrew for some time. We first met at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And I always found that Homeless Entrepreneur, the whole idea was very intriguing because it's a different approach, giving back to society and addressing how I say it's an apparent problem. People don't see it too much, but it's still very important. That it's like helping homeless people get back into society. And what do I want to contribute? Like collaboration is key. And right now we're at the very beginning of this collaboration journey, and we'll see what will come out of it.
What was your perception of homelessness before forming part of Homeless Entrepreneur?
To a certain extent, scary. It's funny. Sometimes you think like, when I was younger and I was watching some movies, and you think like, could this ever happen to me? When I saw homeless people either in the movies or in the street and stuff. So I think it's always important to know where you're coming from, that this can happen to you. A couple of years ago, I met a good friend of mine, and she happened to be homeless for 2 or 3 years. And basically, she lost all her belongings, her house and everything, in the financial crisis in Canada. And for 2 to 3 years, she lived in basically in various houses and in her car. And in the meantime, she was actually publishing a book, giving speeches, etc. Was with me at the World Economic Forum. So it was a different face to homelessness. So it's still, to me, it's just kind of scary, but it can happen to all of us. So I think it's an important topic we need to talk about.
Okay, and how your perception have changed after to be collaborating with Homeless Entrepreneur?
It has changed in a sense that it's easier to relate to it. That I'm looking into the journeys, or not necessarily the journeys, you can say it's not destiny. What happened to the various people who lost their home? Not necessarily that they sleep on the street, but they lost their income, and it can happen to so many people. It's not like people say relate, oh, it's just drugs and alcohol. No, it can actually these days, depending where you live, can happen to all of us.
Okay, so you came to help in a project here. What is this project name?
Well, I'm the founder of Human Business Labs. It's a project incubator where we help organizations and companies to become human again, which is very important in the age of AI, where people think like we have to think of technology and AI is the most important thing. But as a matter of fact, now more than ever, it is all about us, humans. And the question is not so much what is the future or WTF, but it's more like how do we want to live? How do we want to work? And the question is like how can we bring in the human aspect into our lives, our work? And now with Homeless Entrepreneur, it's like looking at the various donors, it's like yes, they help financing these projects, but it actually also it's a wonderful opportunity for them to find the little spark of humanity in their own business. When they realize it's not always about money. It's about, you volunteer for something, all of a sudden they realize it's another human being. It's not just we give out money, we help another human being, and it's an energy exchange. We give and we take. And when they realize we have this human core actually in our company, when people, they say, we want to volunteer for these various projects with homeless entrepreneur, it should be kind of like revealing. It should hopefully be a wake-up call to the traditional corporate culture. And it's not anything bad, just the opposite. It's about rediscovering who we really are as human beings, not as human resources.
What does this project mean to you, and what inspired you to participate or to create it?
I think first of all, you think when you have the homeless entrepreneur, they're kind of like oxymorons. They're complete opposites. And it's like, when I say homeless and then entrepreneur, how does this fit together? I've been an entrepreneur for quite a few years, but I've never really connected with homelessness. And it's like, this definitely caught my attention. I thought, like, well, let's look into this. I believe that the idea of entrepreneurship, or bringing the entrepreneurship to helping people who are homeless, is unique. It's definitely, you don't find this in any other social businesses who address similar problems, with social services, etc. It's really about, rediscovering who we are again, and what about our strength, and how can we use it, and how can entrepreneurship help us achieve this.
Okay. What's the highlight so far?
The highlight, I think, is actually the exchange with Andrew and his team, sharing stories and making them personal. It's like you can see things like, you can think on the conceptual level, you can explain it, you can talk about business models, you say what's the strategy behind it, how do you want to finance it, etc. That's one thing. The currency that makes us tick, that makes a big difference, are stories. And sharing stories, like, even though it's like maybe so far I could not relate to them, but trying to show some empathy with these stories and the storytellers, this can make a big, big difference.
And what do you think do you need to accelerate the project?
What do I need to accelerate the project? Deep listening skills. And not only opening my mind, but actually also opening my heart. And by thus doing it by myself, maybe also motivating other people to do so, starting a dialogue, say in corporate or actually with the people who are affected by it, and then find some common grounds and see what wants to emerge. And not just like having an idea, but then actually act upon it. It's like, I'm saying I'm a fan of projects, do one project at a time. You do not need to revolutionize everything, but you can start small. One project at a time, one step at a time. But again, it's like when you want to learn something, it starts with us, that we have to open our mind, we have to open our heart, and start a dialogue.
If you could choose one sponsor to support the project, who would it be and why?
Wow, there are quite a few sponsors I can think of, a number of organizations. I think that you can go to any company, they say they want to do something good for society, and then they will have to challenge them and say, okay, what are you doing besides just giving money? How are you actually involved? How are you integrating what you are learning from the people you're helping? How do you integrate this into your own culture? Learning goes both ways. Giving is like both ways. You give money, but you also get something back. To find that the cause of homeless entrepreneur, there's actually common ground also with the cause of a company. And finding out what this is, not just like from, say, you're sitting around a bonfire, holding your hands and sitting, and singing Kumbaya. No. It's like, what is our common denominator? How can we both benefit from it? From a corporate point of view, from a societal point of view, from an individual point of view. This is more than intriguing.
And how will you know that this project has been successful?
When I hear from people, when they hear some from stories and they say, wow, that really moved me. And that we can share these stories. If there's like one individual we can help, escape from this homeless state and being reintegrated in society, getting a job, having a new perspective, that's definitely worth it. Because after all, this individual could be you.
Invite an individual to join the cause.
Say again?
Invite an individual to join the cause.
Invite an individual. Well, there are quite there's some peers, some colleagues I would like to invite. You know, I can think of a number of people who said like, yeah, they're curious about it. In this case, probably I would actually ask one of my or both of my kids if they want to, you know, join the cause and experience it, because I'm actually curious what their perspectives are, what ideas they bring to the table. Because being very young, I mean, they have the whole world is ahead of them and the whole life. So, I mean, maybe they're not so fear-driven as, you know, the older generation is. Asking young adults, in this case, my daughter is 20, my son is 22, asking them to, why don't you just like, you know, join us and see what you can learn from them and what we can learn from you, because you probably will ask different questions. What do you see that we cannot see anymore? What possibilities, what opportunities do you see? I think this would be really, really interesting.
Good. And about your collaboration with Homeless Entrepreneur, what kind of advisory support are you providing?
The advice I have is think in terms of projects.
Okay.
It's like when you want to change something, we tend to think of, oh, we have to change everything. I'm somewhat skeptical because, especially, you know, there are a lot of people and lots of companies that are risk averse. They don't want to take risks, especially these days. But you say, you know what? Let's do a little pilot project. Let's do a prototype. Let's do a small project in your immediate environment, something you can relate to. And it doesn't have to be like very long. It could be, say, a day, maybe 2 days, or 2 weekends, 3 weekends. But it's like there's a limit they can relate to and say, okay, we did it. And then you can look at the results. Then you celebrate the results. Or maybe you don't have any successes, then you celebrate the failures. But you still have something to learn. And this is important. I believe in the power, in the magic of projects.
Talking about what is important, how important is to be well advised in order to reach one's goals?
I don't get it. Say again.
How important is to be well advised in order to reach one's goals?
I think the advisor is, okay, if we want to learn, if I understood the question correctly, if we want to learn, the best way is actually to share our knowledge.
Yes.
To teach. A good teacher, a good advisor is also someone who is a very good listener. Now, I'm not claiming I'm the best listener, and there are quite a few cases where I wish I would be a better listener, but it's a learning process. And whenever I listen deeper, or generatively, something new can emerge. And this is like, I love teaching, I love sharing. Why? Because it's like, it's such an energetic learning experience. It's just like, it gives me a lot of energy.
What professional milestone are you the proudest of and why?
Oh, there are quite a few milestones. I'll tell you what. One of the milestones actually happened this year. I left an executive position with a huge corporation and decided, no, I will now fulfill my life stream of starting my own company, Human Business Labs. Even though at that time I didn't have any funds, but I had the energy and the passion. And I asked myself, when is a good time? It's like, if I can wait, will there be somebody who gives like manna is falling from heaven and it's like everything it's going to be easier? No. If not now, when? So actually taking the risk, taking the plunge into the cold water, starting a company in a different country, a new country, this was definitely a huge milestone. And leaving the company a very well-paying job, an executive position. My mind said, don't do it. How could you? The day or the moment I decided I'm going to leave the company, my heart jumped and I felt like a huge burden fell off my shoulder and I felt relieved and completely energized. So this was actually a huge milestone because I think it was one of the very first time in a very long time that I listened to my heart, not so much listening to my mind.
So, in reference to your professional growth and reaching your professional goals, how important are social media channels like LinkedIn, for example?
I think social media, especially LinkedIn, is very, very important. People think of TikTok and Facebook, okay, this is all important. But LinkedIn is, I say even more important because when you look at the target audience, who's on LinkedIn, this is basically lots of businesses business professionals. And, or maybe also like some older generations, like 30 years old and older. But I think it's very important to reach out to them. And LinkedIn is, I think, totally undervalued by quite a few. I think it is one of the most important social media platforms. And I think it will become even more important in the near future, along with, I believe, still YouTube.
What are the challenges and the benefits of collaborating as an advisor for homeless entrepreneurs?
It's kind of like leaving the own closet. Now, if you look at my own business, Human Business Labs and Homeless Entrepreneur, you think like, oh, they're two different, completely different. But if we want to be innovative, we have to leave our comfort zone. We have to leave the environment we are actually in and see what's out there. Going to the brink, going to different areas. And I think Homeless Entrepreneur offers this space. So it's kind of like, if you want to be innovative, leave the comfort zone. You have to look outside and getting some new inspirations. And this is actually what I hope to get, and vice versa, that I can actually give also some new inspirations, some new sparks.
Well, if you had to choose an action that could get the attention of international press, what will it be?
Wow, that's a good question. I have to think. Let me do this. What's my vision? Okay, I have a very bold vision. And I describe this in my book, The Spirit of Human Business. That is, I want to help establish human business as the new global norm for innovative companies by the year 2030. So that when we talk about human business or related concepts, including social business or social design, there are various terms. The young generation know exactly what we talk about. It's the standard. It's about generating value for and by people. Yes, profits are very important, but the question is like, why are we in business in the first place? What's the business of business? The business of business is not business. The business of business is people. It's about us. And when you look at the AI opportunities, artificial intelligence, and who knows what else we will see in the next couple of years, it's even more important that we know how do we want to live, how do we want to work. We have a responsibility for our next generation and the generations after, and we have a responsibility for the environment we live in. So the business of business is people. It's human beings. And if I can, contribute to this, this new standard by the year 2030, I'm very, very happy.
Wonderful. One recommendation: will you recommend other professionals to become advisors with homeless entrepreneur, and why? I
think that when you look at homeless entrepreneurs, or if you look at some of homeless people, and not like the way people understand homelessness, but homeless entrepreneur, they explain the various forms of homelessness. this is where you can see humanity. It's about where you see something about human beings. Sometimes when you look at the last 100 years, 150 years, companies, they have been built as machineries, with Tayloristic paradigm and everything, and work very well. And it's still, it's working all right. But again, it's not sufficient. I believe that especially the young generation, they're very much interested in purpose-driven companies. Now, rather than just like moving like big blocks, are you able to help the person next door or the person who just lost a home? Can you actually see the person? Do you see who is actually homeless? Because sometimes it's not that apparent. I think that working, collaborating, and advising a homeless entrepreneur is a unique chance to learn for the future.
Very good. So, last question is, what can future homeless entrepreneur advisors, future and present,
Repeat that.
do to collaborate with you as an homeless entrepreneur advisor?
Repeat the question, sorry.
What can future homeless entrepreneur advisors, future or present,
Yes.
like me, what can we do to collaborate with you?
Well, first of all, yeah, reach out to me and find out like how you can become, if you're interested in, say, human business. What we basically in this case offer, what kind of projects, or let's say if you have a wicked problem. Like a wicked problem is a problem which is like so difficult you have no idea how to cope with it. And what we offer the space to turn your ideas, your questions, your challenges into concrete, implementable projects that make an impact in a record time, 2 days to 6 weeks. So, and you have the human touch. Not only will you understand what human business is all about, you will experience it. And there is one price, however. Every person who collaborates with Human Business Labs will have to pay. It's going to be fun.
That's all. Thank you very much.